put on your shades. The president just promised lasers in space. That's not a movie trailer, bro. That's Reagan on TV selling the Strategic Defense Initiative, Star Wars. America eats popcorn, Moscow eats stress. The 80s just strapped neon to the Cold War and called it policy. Imagine telling a room full of Soviet generals that the enemy is building sky shields. Everyone nods like they get it. Then someone whispers, "Do we even have working photocopiers?" Doesn't matter. Fear signs the checks. Budgets go boom. On the American side, speeches land like blockbuster premieres. "We will make nuclear weapons obsolete," says the lead actor in the White House. On the Soviet side, accountants stare at numbers like they're bomb codes. Oil prices fall, factories stall. The empire has a hole in its pocket, and pride won't let it patch it. Meanwhile, Hollywood sells confidence. Arcade machines flash lasers. Music videos turn the arms race into a dance-off. While America plays Atari, Moscow plays anxiety. Star Wars is part science, part theater, and all psychology. Whether it works is almost beside the point. What matters is that generals in Moscow go home with migraines. What matters is that the Soviet Union must keep up with something that might not even exist. Build more, spend more, prove we're not behind. That's the voice in the Kremlin corridors. The problem? The economy is already running on fumes. You can't fund infinity with ration cards, but empires don't fall because a president smiled on TV. They fall because people start whispering where the cameras don't go. Not in the war rooms, but on the factory floors. In Poland, gray shipyards and cold breath in the morning air. Men and women with rough hands and steady eyes. Lech Walesa jumps a fence and becomes a symbol. A union called solidarity spreads like an idea you can't confiscate. The Pope is Polish now, John Paul II, and suddenly faith sounds like a megaphone. You can ban ink, but you can't ban hope. The government tries the usual tricks: arrests, threats, midnight knocks. But something had changed. People have learned a new word: together. They sing in churches. They print leaflets on smuggled machines that look like toasters. They turn silence into a weapon. Hammers stopped midair, not because workers are lazy, but because the soul is on strike. Workers of the world, unite, says the ideology. Great, says Poland. We're taking that literally. The Soviets look at Poland and see a hairline crack. They look at Star Wars and see a cliff. You can't be everywhere. You can't afford everything. The empire starts choosing: more tanks or more bread, more rockets or more truth. Bread keeps people quiet until it doesn't. Truth stays underground until it doesn't. The 80s are still neon, but the brightness now makes the cracks easier to spot. Now, it's 1989. East German officials hold a press conference. A confused spokesman misreads a note. "Effective immediately," he says. And the world hears, "Open the border." People test it like an electric fence. No shock. More people push. Guards shrug. Suddenly, the most guarded wall on Earth looks like a mistake made of concrete. Strangers hug on top of it. Hammers and joy turn stone into souvenirs. TV anchors run out of adjectives. If your childhood was black and white, this night is printed in color. In the background, Gorbachev is trying to remodel the building while people dance on the roof. Perestroika, Glasnost, reform and openness. Great words, late timing. The economy is coughing. The unions are singing. The satellites are wobbling back into orbit. Then the music shifts again. Moscow, 1991. Tanks in the streets, a coup against Gorbachev. A man climbs a tank, Boris Yeltsin, reads courage like it's a manual, and the crowd decides the future while the past checks its watch. By December, the red flag over the Kremlin lowers like the end credits of a film no one wants to watch again. The map changes shape. The anthem sounds like a memory. People keep the pieces of the wall on their bookshelves. The empire dissolves with a signature and a sigh. The strange thing? There's no final battle, no dramatic charge, just numbers, nerves, and the slow victory of normal people wanting normal lives. And still, remember where this started, with a smile and a bluff that may or may not have been a weapon. Lasers in space, fear on Earth. That's how the decade marketed itself. But the collapse didn't begin in orbit. It began in shipyards and kitchens and churches. It began with mothers trading stories, with workers refusing a lie, with a pope turning faith into fuel, with a union that taught an empire that you can't arrest a song. The lesson isn't that America won because it spent faster, or that the Soviets lost because they believed a cartoon. The lesson is that power without trust is a roof without walls. It looks strong from the road. It falls in the first quiet storm. Listen closely to the end of the 80s. Not the speeches, not the jets, the whispers. Polish shipyards are rising. East German crowds walking. Czech students with candles. Hungarian border guards blinked back tears. The wall didn't fall because a bomb hit it. It fell because belief did. When the wall fell, it wasn't just concrete. It was certainty, fear, and the habit of obeying. All of that cracked at once. And yet, look around. Satellites still spy. Propaganda still sells. The map is different. The game looks the same. Maybe the Cold War ended. Maybe it changed costume. Either way, remember the truth that scared the empire most. Revolutions don't start with guns. They start with whispers in factories. An empire of fear can't stop a song. And yet, the Cold War never really ended.